Hey everyone, Tony Ivanov here, lead trader and mentor at TradeBuddy, and today I'm going to go over my two trades on ADIL. The first one was a very small morning spike trade. I didn't use as much size on that one because I wasn't as confident in the pattern, but my second trade was in the afternoon and I used a lot more size, almost triple the size I used in the morning, and that one was a very nice dip buy, one of my bread and butter patterns. So I'm going to go over that later in the video. So yeah, we're just going to dive right into this video lesson. If you guys enjoy this, please leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me. That's the best way to get to me, tony@tonyivanov.com, or drop a comment down below and I'll get back to it. All right, so let's just jump right into this and we're going to go over to my screens. Alrighty, so here we are on my screen. So first of all, if you guys have any questions on what broker I use, what platforms I use, and what scanners I use, it's all in the description below. Just make sure you hit see more and you should see all the links that you need to answer your questions. So yeah, let's just get right into ADIL. This one was the main stock today. Now this morning, there really wasn't that much on the watch list. We had SFET. This was on the watch list because it had an order that was brought in by a leading beverage corporation, which, it was decent news, but when we opened up the actual news article, there was no valuation on the deal. It didn't really give us any information whatsoever. So overall, it was kind of a pump and dump type news. That, with the fact that this has a very low float of under 500,000 shares, made us believe, you know what, this one could have a strong morning push, but it's probably going to be a pump and dump. So I did not trade this one. I was planning on trading this one, but my main thing that I didn't want to trade was it already had a nice jump in pre-market, and I really wanted this to have a pullback down to the 380 area in pre-market, because then I could buy that support and then sell into a morning rip. But because it did not give us that dip in pre-market, I just avoided it, and we can see overall this one just collapsed and just lost all its value. So obviously a pump and dump play, not an ideal setup. So next was ADIL. ADIL was a recent runner. This one has been running for the past 2-3 days now. And on Monday, it set a very clear resistance at 575. So this was the main area that we were watching today for that break over 575. And we can see we got that break right away. Right at market open, it just smashed right through that level. And that's where I went long 500 shares. Let me bring up my chart real fast so you can see my entries. So here's my chart. You can see I went long. This was using a market order, just because the price was moving too fast and I really wasn't too ready for it. So I used a market order, 500 shares, went long 589, and I took those profits at 636. So that was a nice $250-ish win there. Nothing spectacular, but just locking in those gains, knowing that on that big breakout we're going to see lots of shorts covering and lots of longs going long. So easy to make that nice 10%-ish cushion. I think that's 10%. $0.50 per share cushion. So very nice there. After that, I didn't want to touch ADIL whatsoever. And in our webinar that we do every single day in the TradeBuddy community, I was just saying, you know what, I don't really see too solid of a pattern on this quite yet. But the main thing that we did know is that there was pretty obvious level of support in this 625, 630-ish area. So if I was a perfect trader, I would have bought this dip here at 630 at 9:50 a.m. But you know what, I thought it was going to break down further, and because I just had that nice win in the morning, I wasn't really too confident, and I didn't want to give up my morning gains. So I just I sat back and I avoided it. But I did let everyone know in the chat, hey guys, you know what, there is a very nice level of support at 630ish. So if you want to take that risk, that's where you need to jump into the trade. And we can see that that would have worked out perfectly. It did overall end up holding this 625-ish, 630 area, and then it squeezed over high of day and went up to 720. So almost $1 per share gain there just by simply using levels of support and resistance. We talk about this every single day. It's nothing new. It's just the same stocks, different story. Or no, same strategies, different stocks, I guess you could say. And then you can see once we had that breakout over the 675 line, hit resistance at 720, and look, previous resistance holding as support. Overall, the level of resistance that it had a tough time breaking over in the past was 675. And now look, once we broke over 675, that's holding as support. We can see it bounced 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. You can just scalp that area using the channel from 675 to 720. That's a very lucrative way to trade, and you just keep doing it until it stops working, essentially. And then once it stops working, you have to be prepared to cut the loss, right? So I didn't trade it at all at that point, but once I saw this weakening action, I was saying, okay, you know what? There's only 2 main levels that ADIL can bounce off of now, either 630 or 575, because the main plan that I had was, you know what? We have tested this 675 level like 7 times now, each time recently making a lower high. This looks like it's going to break down. So if it breaks down, where am I going to buy the dip? And I was telling people in the chat, the main levels I am watching is 630 and 575 because those are previous levels of resistance that held up as support, right? So that's exactly what I did. Let me just bring up my second trades right there. So ADIL, we can see on that big breakdown, I had orders already just out there waiting. I had 1 order at 635, I had 1 order at 631, and I had 1 order at 627. Now there's no real like mathematical reason why I chose these numbers in specific, but the main thing that I knew was that overall that 630, 625 area is support. So I want to spread my orders around out there because you never know. Maybe this will drop down to only 635 and then bounce. If that happens, I get partial size, but at least I'm in there. If it drops all the way down into the support, I get full size. So it's just a better way to add into your position by spreading out the orders around the support, not just having one big order sitting, because you never know how far down it's going to actually drop. But the main thing we do know is that if that 630 level holds, then that should act as support and it should bounce higher. And my plan on this one was just to take profits near this VWAP slash 660 area. And once again, I did say that in the chat. Here is the chat where I was talking about that. I would love to see a washout down to near 625, and I posted that at 8:22 a.m. And then someone asked me, okay, what's your profit target? And I said around 660s slash VWAP. And you can see I followed that plan perfectly. So just, you know, once again, the number one pattern that I love the most is times when previous resistance holds as support, because everyone sees that level, whether they're using it as resistance or support. There's going to be lots of buying slash covering happening at that price when you have a big breakdown. So you just have to understand that if you can find areas where both longs are dip buying and shorts are covering, that's going to be a very solid level of support, and that's where you should be the most confident in it. I wasn't so confident in the breakout over 575 because I didn't know how many orders were going to be around that area. Yeah, it's a big breakout, but we've seen fake outs many times in the past. So that's why, you know, right at the market open, I don't like to use too much size just because it can be so volatile. I've been burned very badly on that before, where like I used 2,000, 3,000 shares, and then because of the big volatility and big spreads, I have to take a massive loss, and it's just not something that I'm comfortable with. Maybe it works for you, you know. Maybe you have the ability like to trade super fast and trade the market opens? If so, great, you know, do it. But for me, I like the afternoons because it's a lot slower and you can really just have your orders waiting at the ideal price points, and then you can let the trade come to you. That's what works for me, so that's what I do. After that, we had a awesome bounce. This actually went up to the mid sevens. So of course I sold way too soon, but I just took what I'm comfortable with, and I'm happy with that. I had no idea that we would really hit that level. No one really did, but you know, if you have a good entry, then you could be set up on that possibility. It's all about having a good entry, and in my opinion, this buying right here that I did in the 630 area was absolutely perfect. All right, so that's really all I traded today. There was really nothing else on these scanners. Like I said, it was only ADIL and SFET. So yeah, that's basically it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this breakdown, and we're gonna take it to the intro. Hey, I'm assuming that if you watched this entire video, you saw some great value out of it. I would really appreciate it if you could hit the like button and then hit the subscribe button to be notified of any future videos that I make. Keep in mind, I make videos almost every single day, and I live stream every single day in the TradeBuddy community. All information is down below for that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.